Once upon a time, there lived a girl called Abigail, who lived in a town called Abura. She had the opportunity to be enrolled in the university of her dreams, a place far from her village. This was an exciting moment for Abigail, as she had worked hard for years to achieve this. She packed her bags, full of hope and excitement for what lay ahead. The day she left was bittersweet, leaving her family behind yet embracing the promise of independence and success. As the bus pulled away from her small town, she looked out the window, filled with a mix of nerves and excitement. Abigail had no idea what the future held, but she was determined to make the best of her time there. She arrived at the university, greeted by its tall buildings and busy students. It was a huge campus, much larger than she had imagined. The feeling of stepping onto the university grounds felt surreal for her, a world so different from her hometown. Abigail's first week on campus was filled with introductions to strangers, new faces, and big decisions. Her roommate, Maria, was welcoming and kind, sharing her excitement with Abigail. They immediately bonded over their shared nervousness. Abigail learned about the demanding life ahead, long hours in class, assignments piling up, and social activities meant to keep students engaged. She attended her first lecture and found it overwhelming but exciting. The professors were strict yet encouraging, making it clear that hard work would be rewarded. Throughout the week, Abigail noticed another student named Mike, a charming guy who seemed to have a reputation around campus. He had confidence and charisma that attracted a lot of attention, but Abigail was too focused on her studies to care much. Still, there was something intriguing about Mike that she couldn't ignore. As days turned into weeks, Abigail and Mike's friendship grew stronger. They would often meet up in between lectures, discussing their classes and dreams for the future. Mike admired Abigail's determination and hardworking nature, and Abigail found herself looking forward to their conversations. Over time, she began seeing him in a new light. There was something sincere about his intentions, something different than the other flirtatious guys around campus. As they grew closer, Mike started making small gestures, offering to carry her books, helping her when she struggled with assignments. Abigail, while initially hesitant to let anyone in too closely, started to appreciate his company and the comfort he offered. Still, she wondered if this was more than just friendship or if she was imagining things. Mike seemed to enjoy her company, but she wasn't sure if he felt the same way about her. Abigail began to notice small signs of affection from Mike. He would often accompany her to the library, share notes, or offer to walk her back to the dorm at night. However, with these gestures came doubts. Abigail couldn't shake off the feeling that Mike's actions were too good to be true. She began to wonder whether he had an agenda or if she was just another project to him. A rumor floated around campus that Mike was seeing multiple girls, which further fueled her suspicion. One afternoon, Abigail overheard some girls talking about Mike's affection for another student named Tammy. It stung her heart, making her second-guess the bond she thought they shared. Did he really like her, or was he playing a game? Unable to carry her confusion any longer, Abigail decided to confront Mike. She invited him for a walk around the university park. Mike noticed her serious tone and asked if something was wrong. Without hesitation, Abigail asked him about the rumors and the supposed relationship with Tammy. Mike was taken aback by her directness but quickly reassured her. He admitted that while he knew Tammy, their connection was purely platonic. Mike explained that he had genuinely started developing feelings for Abigail but had been unsure of how to express it. Abigail, still uncertain, listened carefully to his words. She wasn't ready to fully let her guard down yet, but she decided to trust him. After their conversation, they walked silently together, the air between them slightly lighter, but still filled with questions about the future. The next few days were tense. Abigail kept her distance from Mike, thinking carefully about whether or not she could trust him. Meanwhile, Mike made it a point to show through his actions how much he valued Abigail's trust. He checked in on her more frequently, always polite and considerate. Slowly, Abigail's doubts started to fade, and she realized that Mike's actions were consistent with his words. He wasn't like the others. One day, as they were studying together, Abigail surprised herself by initiating a conversation about their feelings. She expressed her uncertainty but also her desire to understand him better. Mike assured her that his feelings were genuine, and this time Abigail believed him. She realized that taking chances was part of growing, and maybe, just maybe, she had a chance at something real. As Abigail became more comfortable with Mike, she began to introduce him to her world beyond the campus. She invited him to meet her friends in the dorm, sharing small moments of joy. Mike became close to Abigail's circle of friends, blending seamlessly into her life. However, Abigail couldn't help but worry about their future. Being in a relationship on a university campus came with its challenges, temptation, distractions, and the pressure of academic life. But one night, after a casual outing with friends, they ended up talking about their dreams and hopes for the future. For the first time, Abigail felt reassured. She realized that their relationship didn't have to be perfect, it just had to be true. With time, their relationship was tested. Abigail struggled with balancing school, her growing affection for Mike, and her new responsibilities. There were days when the stress of deadlines weighed heavily on her. During these moments, Mike would be her support system, always there to lend an ear or a hand when needed. The bond they shared grew, but with it came pressures she hadn't anticipated, especially as they navigated the campus social circles and the busy university atmosphere. Both knew that to succeed as individuals and as a couple, they'd need to make sacrifices. As graduation approached, Abigail and Mike began to sense a shift in their relationship. Academic pressure and preparations for the future took over their lives. Abigail spent most of her time in the library, working on her final thesis, while Mike juggled job applications and internships. Despite their love, the strain of their busy schedules created a growing distance between them. They began to miss their usual hangouts and heartfelt conversations, replaced now by rushed messages and fleeting moments. Both wondered silently if their relationship would withstand the storm of change. One evening, Abigail could no longer ignore the tension. She asked Mike to meet her at the park near the fountain where they had shared many memories. When Mike arrived, he looked worried, sensing the importance of the conversation. Abigail opened up about how she felt neglected and feared their bond was breaking. Mike admitted that the pressures of graduating and starting his career had distracted him, but he assured her that his feelings hadn't changed. Though their words were honest and filled with love, uncertainty lingered. They promised to try harder to make time for each other in their final months at university. True to their promise, Abigail and Mike began making efforts to spend time together again. They revisited old spots on campus, shared quiet moments over coffee, and helped each other prepare for exams. These small gestures brought warmth back into their relationship, reminding them of the love they had shared over the years. Although they still faced challenges, they began to focus on their connection rather than the future. However, deep down, Abigail worried if these moments would last once they graduated and parted ways. Graduation day was both joyful and bittersweet. Abigail wore her graduation gown with pride, and Mike cheered her on from the audience as they celebrated their accomplishments. But the looming reality of life after university hung over their heads. Mike had a job offer in a major city, while Abigail was set to travel abroad for her postgraduate studies. After the ceremony, they shared a quiet moment, promising to stay in touch and wishing each other success. As they hugged goodbye, both felt the weight of the uncertain road ahead. Lost in the love. The months following graduation tested Abigail and Mike's relationship like never before. Living in different time zones and pursuing demanding paths left little room for communication. They still exchanged occasional texts and calls, but the warmth of their bond had faded. Abigail immersed herself in her studies, excelling in her new environment, while Mike worked tirelessly to build his career. Despite their efforts, both began to realize that the love they had shared was slowly turning into a cherished memory. One year later, Abigail returned home for a visit and decided to revisit the campus. There, she unexpectedly bumped into Mike, who had also come to give a motivational talk to new students. Their reunion was warm but nostalgic, filled with laughter and reflection. Both had grown immensely in their time apart and understood that their relationship had played a significant role in shaping them. Over coffee, they spoke candidly about their journey. They agreed that their love had taught them the importance of growth, understanding, and letting go when necessary. As they parted ways once again, there was no sadness, only gratitude and respect for what they had shared.